we want to bring in Chairman Michael McCaul. I believe he's joining us now, the Texas congressman. Chairman, forgive us. We're on these live pictures here, and it's been one of those mornings where things constantly change. We want to keep those live images up. They're quite beautiful, and the president.
This is
a significant trip for this president. If I could just get your thoughts as we look on here and await the president's arrival via Marine One, your thoughts on the president's trip so far?
I think it's gone very well. I think he wants a stronger NATO. He wants all the NATO allies to basically bear the burden of the cost. We've been trying to get them to 2% of GDP for many years, and we finally have a president who's willing to enforce that provision. And I think it's going to make a stronger, not weaker NATO. So I think he accomplished a great deal in that regard. And I think $33 billion more has been pledged towards the NATO effort. And that's very important as he goes into his meeting with Mr. Putin to stress how important NATO is and our allies are to the United States.
Meanwhile, back at home, a significant amount of change occurring as well. Democrats have drafted this bill to abolish ICE, and now they're saying they'll vote against it. What is the latest on this, Chairman?
Well, what's interesting is that less than a year ago, I put on the floor a bill to authorize ICE for the first time by Congress. It passed overwhelmingly. Nearly every Democrat voted for the bill to authorize ICE into law, including Nancy Pelosi and the author of this bill to abolish ICE. So as I've talked to my leadership, we think a good strategy is to call their bluff and put this bill on the floor and see how many Democrats are willing to vote for a bill to abolish a very important national security department. Many people don't realize what ICE does. It's a lot more than what we see with these unaccompanied minors at the border. They stop human traffickers, drug smugglers, fentanyls, opioids coming into the country. It was designed after 9/11 to protect Americans from potential terrorists. And according to the Secretary, we stop on average nearly 10 known or suspected terrorists per day. ICE does a great job protecting Americans. The most reckless thing we could do is abolish it.
The Speaker, Paul Ryan, has just tweeted on that, as a matter of fact, moments ago. He sent this out. ICE gets gangs out of our communities, helps prevent drugs from flowing into our schools, and rescues people from human trafficking. Some Democrats want to get rid of it. It's the craziest position, he says. They are tripping over themselves to move further to the left. Chairman.
And the irony is they all voted for it. I mean, they all voted to authorize ICE less than a year ago when I put my bill on the floor, including Nancy Pelosi. And now they're backtracking, saying they want to abolish it. You know, I was a counterterrorism federal prosecutor after 9/11. A lot of times we couldn't maybe prove material support for terrorism, but we could prove an immigration violation. We deported a lot of bad actors after 9/11 that I would argue has made America a lot safer. And it's a reason why you didn't see a lot of attacks after 9/11 is because we did a good job working with ICE to remove these dangerous criminals and potential terrorists from the United States. Why anybody would want to allow them to come in without any law and order or law enforcement to stop them is absolutely insanity.
I want to ask you also about these reports that Mexico's president-elect will be creating a border force to stop Central American migrants. He says we are going to create a border fence that will be highly specialized. They need to apply the law.
Senator, this is very exciting. You know, Lopez Obrador is known to be a little bit anti-American, but you know, if we can secure their southern border, they have 200 miles. We have 2,000 miles, U.S.-Mexico. We want to work with them. The Secretary's meeting with them to make sure we can, if we can seal their southern border, majority of these immigrants are coming in from Central America, and it would stop a lot of these migration problems that we're seeing right now, in addition to the human trafficking and drug smuggling as well.
The president's latest words on U.S. immigration laws. Let's listen to those quickly if we can.
We're, as you know, far superior to anything that's happened before, but we have very bad immigration laws, and we're doing incredibly well considering the fact that we virtually don't have immigration laws. You just walk across the border. You walk across the border, you would put one foot on the land, and now you're tied up in a lawsuit for 5 years. It's the craziest thing anyone's ever seen.
Chairman, how would you characterize the president's progress on this issue?
Well, I think he's correct in terms of it. The law is part of the problem that the administration faces, and that's Congress's responsibility. I think it's important to note that Chairman Goodlatte and I put a bill on the floor that would provide border security, close these legal loopholes he's talking about, which would end this catch-and-release policy that we see at the border right now. And it also had a DACA fix, Sandra, and unfortunately, every Democrat voted against that bill, and they brought down that bill that would have provided a DACA solution,
Chairman,
but also the legal loopholes.
I'm going to jump in here because we've got a live picture of the Queen's arrival. Chairman, thank you for your time.